Good morning to 135. A few things going on this morning. We've got the side steps from the swimming pool and the pool area. We're having the steps actually dug out as we speak. So the rebar is hanging out, needs to be treated and straightened up. And we've obviously got the steps coming down to here. This is where the gradient level is meant to be, but I may well take that a bit further down because I don't want to be as high as that around here. So I'll probably add another couple of steps to that to bring that down. So each step is normally 6 inches, so I'll bring it down another foot so we get to maybe 3, and then we'll level this out to 3 and then round to the beach. Around here we still have the grease trap to finish off. So we've still got to bust out of here. We've already busted out. It's actually getting the grease trap ready to take the inlet pipe and the pipe from there down to the next set. That's definitely got to be done. Still waiting for prices from the window firm to supply the windows to go into here. Grease traps here are in 2 pieces, as you can see here. And as far as what happens is it flows into one side, the grease races to the top, and the water comes around and comes out the other side. I think that's how it works. Strange scenario to have. Here obviously we've had to redo all of these pipes, which we did yesterday. So these are now concreted in, nice and stable, exactly how it should be. We need to do that with all of them, so hopefully they've actually managed to cover that. And yesterday we realised there was no grease trap, so we've got to build the grease trap there, which the guy's doing now, and that's to carry this pipe here. So we're going to have to take that pipe in somehow and then back out into here. So again, this one deals with the grease and the water, and the surface water comes back into the manhole and carries on. Just a quick little do dinner. Morning guys, how are you? Good. So we still have to sort this out now, so we need to prop that up where it needs to be, get that concreted today. We need to get right around. Morning buddy. We need to get right around all of this pipe, all the way around each side, and get concrete poured all the way underneath and on top, because this is actually on soil, and over time soil will move, so we need to try and get as deep as we physically can underneath there. And that hopefully is giving them the... Yeah? Yeah. Do you think it's giving us the...
You got to cover that now.
Is that giving you the height you needed? Yeah, need George to do that then.
We want the fella to see it first, that way we can cover it yet.
Yeah, okay.
The water already went out so nice, but we can get a little problem on here.
Well, the biggest issue you've now got is you've got to take this one here. This one's got to be lower than this one.
It is.
So what we're gonna, yeah, as in when that's in. Yeah, so you've got to drill a hole in there, put that pipe, put the length in there, and then make sure that you've actually got the height you need here, and it doesn't go higher than here.
Yeah, we know you got to go to bottom. All that here got cut down.
So why don't we do that this morning, and why don't we bust out a hole where the actual mark in the wall is, where it was the mark in the plaster? Why don't we knock a hole through there?
That give me too high. But well, if you put it there, that give me too high.
If that's too high, then this doesn't work.
You know that too high. That mark there too high.
That's as low as you can go. You can't go any lower than that because you've actually got the concrete rendered base.
We have busted to the fucking concrete base.
Yeah.
You have busted to the concrete base as well. Once they're gonna steal in there. They're gonna steal in there. We can bust it.
Is this height up the 3 inches we talked about? Is it?
Yeah. Actually, if you pour water in there, you can stick around right back out. Nice and easy.
Okay, so we need George to double check whether that is the right run, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if we can go up any higher, if we can go higher, and then it helps that. But I personally feel we should just literally, I know it's awful, but we should demolish that and just start again.
That's awful or not. You can't left it if it ain't working. If it ain't gonna work, you gotta do something.
Yeah.
It's either that or drill the hole down in the concrete and go through. This probably might be even harder. It might be easy to let down that start and build it back over.
So the biggest issue we have here is that this has now come up 3 inches. That is now got to be lower than this.
But at the same
time, that one's got to run all the way down into there at the right run. If we can't get that in there with the right run, and this lands up being higher than this, then this doesn't work.
Because the reason we even had to bring up this one a little.
So anyway, sewage to one side. Actually, I'm getting the footings in for all the garbage and electrical cover, as we saw yesterday. They're all now poured, and now the block work's going in. So manhole's there in front. Again, we need to actually pull along through to the other manhole now. We're going to have to readjust that manhole because that's not working. So we're going to have to probably break it open in a minute and reset. So with regards to the drainage itself, we don't have the height going from here to here, so we're now going to have to completely demolish this and get rid and start again. So it needs to be around about 6 inches lower than it currently is now in order to get the water coming in and the depth run needed to go to the septic tank. So, a bit of a complicated one and a bit of a waste of time and money, but that's what happens when you don't pull lines and set up properly. And the plumbers really should be working with the carpenters to make sure that runs and stuff out of control. No one should be digging and laying blocks until somebody owns what needs to be done. So that's the first thing that's got to be done. We just had some carpenters turn up, so I'm assuming they're going to be here boxing up all the columns. Beckles, supervisor, cutting some formwork. At the moment, I think what he's doing is he's actually setting out the staircase, so the guys can actually get that sorted today as well. The holes have been drilled in the front for the beams, so they're ready to start beams. So steel bars come out that go into the actual concrete steps. I think what he's actually doing is another one of those side pieces, and these are the two companies as far as I'm aware. So they're going to be going up there and boxing up all the columns and stuff like that. So I think Anthony's dealing with those guys. These guys obviously are doing the block walls, getting out the ground. That ends up becoming the front wall. So the garage, as you can see, the garden gates are pretty much the garage gates are pretty much from here to here, and that becomes the garage straight through here. So anyway, that's one thing we've got to do. We can take you upstairs and show you what's been happening up there. Okay, so a lot of things have been set out. The steel benders and masons were working quite hard yesterday, so they made a bit of progress up here. We still need that labourer clearing out up here. So Mel is up here as well, the electrician in his conduits up and out where they need to be, because all of this is going to be poured at some stage today as well. So that's all boxed up ready, columns all ready, boxing all's ready, corner posters all ready. So it's a case of pouring all that today. This one was unboxed yesterday, as you can see. As we've said already, starter bars need to be extended on here, and this needs to be boxed up as well. The engineer is hopefully going to be giving us a spec by the weekend for the beam system that's going to go across the front here and also across here. The carpenters, fingers crossed, are going to be boxing up this and all three posts at the front. That's also nice because it means they get protected from the salt wind, which for the last couple of days has been absolutely brutal. We found that there was a window. I'll be there in a sec. We found that there was a window that's out of shape. So they've now boxed that up and that's ready to be pulled as well. So fingers crossed, most of the boxing is done. They're also going to be finishing off up there as well. So other than that, pretty much where we are for the floor here for now. So there's a few hairline cracks all over the floor itself. So nothing major. I'm sure once it's wet we'll get to see them all. I mean, you can see one here, look. It's not massive, but it sort of goes along to here. And we still have another week or so of drying out to take place. So I'm sure there's going to be a few more cracks the longer it goes on. So, but it has been polished, it just hasn't been polished very well. So it'll be interesting to find out from people what solutions are out there. Once we've actually got the room swept out and tidied and all the muck off, what's the solution to try and buff it a little bit more and bring it up a little bit more? I mean, stuff like this, like, it's just not rough. It needs to be completely polished to try and get it done. So is there something you can physically do after concrete's cured to try and make it a bit more on a polished scenario? And if not, do we think it's going to work? And if it's going to work, what finish do we put on it? What sort of sealant, water-based, oil-based, what sort of what sealant goes down on top of it? Or do we feel that an epoxy is the more suitable option for it? So it's definitely going to be quite industrial by the time we finish it. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff like this that just needs to be taken off. So there's going to be some form of polishing machine that we're going to need. Again, same thing, crack all the way through here. And pretty much nearly falls in line with the one that we saw on the floor here just a minute ago as well. So there's definitely some form of movements that have been taking place, because that is all the way through to the end here. Is there movement downstairs? I don't know. Here's a bit that's been swept out. So again, there's been sand here, so it's got that off colour. So how can we physically get that polished up, cleaned up, and wood, giving it a good scrub and a mop, get rid of the sort of staining that the sand's left, or is that now in there for good? yeah, interesting to hear people's take on whether they think we should and shouldn't. I would like the floor to be as nice as it physically can. I don't mind having the odd crack if it gives it a bit of character. So yeah, give me your advice. Tell me what you think. Be interested to know. Other than that, obviously today it's still extending pipe work, conduit, making sure that everything prior to pour is ready, and trying to pour as many of the actual the beams as we physically can, the tie beams. And then once that's done, then we'll be going up 4 more courses. Blocks have arrived today. There they are over there, sitting, waiting to be laid. So yeah, really is a case of trying to make sure we can get the plans together, get the carpenters doing what they've got to do, and try and get steps forward. At the moment, they are unfortunately having to undo that work on the manhole, which is unfortunately going to take them off of pouring, which is not what we wanted to do today, because they did all that day yesterday as well. So, but anyway, try and get back on track, try and make sure we do things right, try and make sure we don't keep having to rectify work. Let's go from that. 3:10 on a Saturday afternoon. Let's have a quick look what's going on today whilst I've not been around. Big bad Brian, gone back to Boston. Love you, buddy. Great to have had you here. Hopefully we'll get you here back soon as well. Okay, so let's have a quick look where we are here so far. Okay, so we have the grease trap now put in place, which is all nice and drying. Plumber's obviously got to take the pipe itself out, in and back out again. I don't know how he's going to do that. I would assume he's going to go in this side somehow. It's a smaller grease trap than around the corner, but it works on the same principle. It will be split in half in some way, and the grease flows to one side and water flows the other. So we're still going to have to bust into here as well once that's actually done. This one's remained as it is. They've now dug off everything needed on here. So we do need to make sure we're getting the right support underneath here. I did ask them to get that done today, so that's one thing they're going to have to get around to doing. So we need to dig around. All the sprayed area is orange. I want support and concrete poured to make sure we can support the underneath and the top, so that when the soil goes back down, the pipe's protected and it doesn't move. They've now increased the height of that, as you can see, which has now enabled this to be increased in height. And they've now demolished, unfortunately, the whole of that manhole. So that was a wasted of materials and time. So as you can see now, this is now the remainder of it. And what we have is this, basically. So the base is now going to be a lot thinner. That enables the height to be where it needs to be this way. It also enables the height to be lower that way. So we are going to have to chop off this corner, but it also does mean that the manhole will also be where it needs to be, which is plumbed, the one with the septic tank, but also behind us, the septic tank is there. So we actually have a straight line going straight through, which should have been done in the first place. So painful, but it needs to be done right. So personally, I don't understand what wasn't done right in the first place, but hey ho, it's all about the wind. And then today the guys have been working on here. So we knew the foundations were here this morning. We now have blocks up. So this will be where the electric and water units will be, and then here will be the garbage. That will be taken to height, and then obviously at the same time the line's been pulled. So that now becomes the driveway into the house itself. Beckles has been making the framework for the stairs, which isn't ready yet, but as you can see, the mile will go in. So we've got to, unfortunately, they've not made the platform here wide enough. It needs to be 4 foot either side to take the steps all the way around. This has now got to be boxed over and filled with concrete. Steels have been drilled, ready to come out of the front. This needs to be taken to height. Template needs to be put in first. So that's pretty much how we are with that. We leave all the boxing in as well, just to protect the edge of the steps. So up here, there were carpenters up here on the left. Oh, and they're still there now, so that's good. So hopefully they're doing some serious boxing. Mel's finished off doing all the electrics and the conduits out of the flat there. And he's also done the same here as well. So we're ready to pour on everything here. These boys are boxing up the columns. I'm not too sure where they are so far. Okay, so this is now boxed up in here, which has been done by the previous guys. So that's now in, ready to put behind. That becomes the wall that the window will sit into. I'm not too sure what these boys have been doing. They should have had these boxed up. So far they've done one length. So God knows what's been going on there. To talk to Beckles and find out what the hell's gone wrong. These guys have been here since 8-9 o'clock this morning. Wow. Fuck knows what they're up to. The masons have done a great job over here though. And we've also got the doorway over here all been boxed in as well, so that's finished off. But I don't think these guys have been doing that, so God knows what they've been up to. Let's have a look at them down here. Hey, good. So we've got the steps on the side of the building. They were marked out obviously this morning. We've now got the first set. To ensure that the steps come straight back down to here. Beckles obviously has been marking up where things are going to go. That's the doorway. These rebars obviously will be going into the first step as it goes around. Excellent. So we've got that done. Block wall was done the other day, obviously we knew about that. Nails everywhere, screws everywhere. This has all been boxed up. I'm not too sure who did this. Maybe the carpenters have been doing that. It does seem a bit weird that they've been here all day and only done that one piece. Nails everywhere. This has obviously been done as well. This is brought up, so that's got to be poured. I'm assuming that hasn't been poured yet. Yeah, it's still got to be finished off, so that needs to be finished off in there. So does that. So we're pretty much good to go for the rest of the boxing in here, all the way around, in and out. And that needs to be poured. One of the races at the moment is just the weather and the roof. So we need to get the bloody roof in. Obviously we can't do the roof without actually getting the blocks up to height and getting the wing beams in, obviously, so that's the main thing. Yeah, too sure what these guys have been up to. So just speak to Beckles and find out. Maybe a good vision of that, maybe. I don't know. Find out. But other than that, everything's as is really. We've got blocks here, we've got stone here, we've got most of the stuff that we physically need to crack on. And the original team are doing what they always do, is they just plod on. So Beckles is here managing them, which is good news. Some of the work that's been done wrong has been rectified. It costs us money and time, but it's got to be done. But new stuff's coming out and there's a few changes going on, which is good. So it's not as if we're standing still. It would just be nice if we saw some of that done. A week ago, so we are where we are. Okay, so 4:20 and the day is over. People are packed up. The guys didn't get done today what they wanted to get done, but they got most of it sorted. So just a quick recap. The well was destroyed and replanted where it should be. Tomorrow we've got to take out the soil and block up. They've managed to get the pipe out of here and increased it by 3-4 inches, which gives it the flow needed, which means we should be okay over there. We need to build the footing for the wall here tomorrow for the wall, for the steps. We're also going to do the same here. This wall might need to disappear and actually join this one because this is just too thin, so we might have to unfortunately take that wall down. Grease trap built, ready to have the pipe work installed. Pipe work rectified there and there. Front garbage container done. Boxing of columns nearly finished. This inside piece here needs to be finished as well. That's ready to be poured. Obviously here's not finished as yet, boxing in and out, but the column on this end has been done. Nails everywhere. So this has been supported up. This has been boxed in, both in and out. Ready for pour. Double check, he says. Yeah, ready to pour. The carpenters, I don't know what happened, but they didn't manage to get a great deal done today. There was a bit of a situation at the end. They were under the impression that they were meant to be doing the, they call it bottom beam, but it's the beam that sits above where the beam will go on top. That's been put in the wrong place. So there's been a bit of a situation there today. So at least it's stable anyway. That means they can now do the column on the other side. That beam is where the doors are going to be, but the actual beam itself needs to be here. So that will be an inner beam that we'll build out of, all the doors will go into a partition wall, but the beam itself will end up being above here, so the concrete will be poured above. So their main aim tomorrow is to build 3 sets of columns here and box up that column over there. That's their 3 number 1 goals. Pedro doing a bad job of trying to cover up. Bless him. So yeah, as it is at the moment, we're trying to get back on track. We are behind by quite some considerable time, but up here is pretty much where it needs to be at the present time. So next week is roof. That's it to another day in Barbados. So I'll see you tomorrow.